Hello and welcome to Break Panel Sports. This is John. We're joined alongside Joel. You're back here. We're past 20 episodes. Okay. The sacred number where all podcasts go to die is after episode 20. And look at us,
We're at 21.
21.
All
9 plus
right.
10. We made it. Okay. Joel,
Let's go.
how we doing?
Better than a Broncos fan, I'll tell you that right
Yeah.
now. Doing pretty good.
Funny enough, both the things we're talking about have to do with Bronco quarterbacks, soon to be former Bronco quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Joe Flacco, pretty boy Flacco. Knocking it down, getting things done, and then Russell Wilson. It's the big story of the day. And more stuff has been coming out as I thought about doing kind of something about the Russell Wilson situation a few days ago, and then things just started to brew and brew and brew, and here we are. It
It
seems
all came
that
out of nowhere, too. Like
it,
that.
that's what it is. We're gonna get into. We also have the Detroit Pistons being bad at basketball that we're gonna kind of have some fun with there, but. Yeah, I guess we're just getting straight into it, right? Because, like you said, it came out of nowhere. The Russell Wilson, by the way, okay, who maybe someone doesn't know what's going on, right? So Russell Wilson has been starting for the Denver Broncos this season, quarterback, former Seattle Seahawks, Super Bowl champion, 9-time Pro Bowler. He's kind of good at football. Hasn't played up to par this season, and the Broncos started out 1-5. Things were not going very well. New head coach Sean Payton starting to usher in his new regime. Things have not been going so well in Denver, but then a 5-game winning streak. Things started to go well. They beat the Chiefs. They beat some great teams, this Denver Bronco team. And then, for some odd reason, they lose to the Patriots. Also, the week after losing on Christmas Eve, or before that, a week ago, the week prior to the old Detroit Lions. And that was not a good game at all. And then on Christmas Eve, they lose to the New England Patriots. Right, or whether it was Christmas, I don't know. Both Christmas and Christmas Eve felt like the same day to
I
me.
think it was Christmas Eve.
It
Yeah,
was Christmas Eve. Yes, it was Christmas Eve because I remember.
I wasn't really watching that game, if I'm being totally honest with you. That was a boring game.
Yeah, that was when we were
It was
forced.
Patriots Broncos. Who was watching that if you weren't a fan of those teams?
We were really with the family at that point because nobody was watching
Yeah,
football.
I
It
just
was
wasn't.
all family time from there on out. Hey, why don't we just open the presents already? How about that?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, terrible game. But the Broncos lose, right? And everybody's like, okay, well, it seems like it's over. But the Broncos showed some promise near the end of the season, near the midpoint of the season. They went on that winning streak. And then, out of nowhere, who saw this coming? Right? Russell Wilson, by the way, is on a huge mega contract. The extension kicks in next year. Huge contract, one of the biggest quarterback contracts ever. Ever. And then all of a sudden, Broncos will be benching Russell Wilson for the rest of the season to give their offense a spark. And that spark is
Jarrett Stidham.
let me just double check my records here to see what that spark on
Jarrett
offense will be.
freaking Stidham.
Jarrett Stidham, Auburn legend. Don't disrespect the
He's
Auburn
an
legend.
Auburn legend. That's my guy though.
Do not disrespect him. That Kerryon Johnson duo fed families. It was great down there in Auburn. What a team. But he can't play. I mean, he can be a good backup, and that's what he is. But Jarrett Stidham, by the way, the Broncos are still alive.
Yeah.
They still have a shot at the playoffs, however small that may be. They still have a shot. They have a shot at the division. They bench their mega contract quarterback, Joel. That's not good.
No, it's not.
It's really not good.
I'm gonna be real with you. When it was first announced, like, oh, they're benching Russell Wilson, and in my mind, I was like, all right, who cares? I mean, like, you look at the plethora of quarterbacks throughout this year, it's like, okay, how many more bench guys are going to be playing? Like, okay, Russell Wilson, whatever. I don't care. They just lost to New England. Who cares? I don't care. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And then all of a sudden, we start getting into, like, the contract issues. Like, the Broncos wanted to do a pay cut, and he said no, and then this and that and this and that. And now, it hasn't happened yet, but it seems that Russell Wilson's going to get cut. He's starting in March. He's going to get cut. He's gonna be gone. No more Broncos country. That's right. It's over. The ride's done. It's gonna be over. Yeah. And we're just like, what? What just? I mean, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm being optimistic about this, but like, I did not think Russell Wilson was all that bad this year. I really think he wasn't.
He was on pace for 30-10.
I did not think he was that bad. I don't understand what the problem is. You're winning games, and now you had an ugly loss, sure, but there's a thing called the next game up. You could just, why would you just win the next game?
Yeah.
It was a bad loss. It happens. Get over it. I don't understand. And also, last I checked, I don't think the Broncos really made that much changing in not the coaching staff, but more so just like, you know, the front office. It does. I don't understand how this is the same team that gave him that contract, believed in him, put all their chips in on Russell Wilson, and now it's just like, you know what, we change our minds. And if we lose money on this, all right, it's fine. We don't want you anyway. We don't care. Like that is just, you know what that is? That's loser mentality. I think that's what it is loser mentality. And you said it yourself. This is a team that, has a shot at the division. They're not out of it nothing. They could easily make it to the playoffs. They won like how many games straight? Like six straight or something like. They were like
Yeah.
one of the hottest teams this year. And now you're gonna bail out now? You're like oh now it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna work out. Russell Wilson, like he won't take a pay cut. Yeah, we're just gonna let him go. That is such a loser mentality. That it's stupid. I don't really blame Russell Wilson for this. I don't like now. I do think there are things that Russell Wilson could have done better. Putting I'm not putting no blame on him whatsoever. However, I'm looking at Denver. It's like I I think if he would have gotten traded to like any other team, he would have been in a much better situation as he would be in this front office.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's just it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't understand the move. I think there's some egos that are being involved in this. We don't know all the details. We still don't. Some
Yeah.
people are blaming Sean Payton for this. Some people are blaming their general man. I don't know. What, some people are blaming John Elway. I don't know. No one really knows.
So I just want
But
to clarify, by the way. So
but
the reason that this kind of sparked out, and obviously this isn't from what it seems like. Obviously, I don't want to put words in people's mouths, put words in Sean Payton's mouths, Russell, whatever. But it seems like it's not as much about football as it is about money. So the
it's about money.
Broncos, there was an injury guarantee in the contract. So if Russell Wilson was to not pass a physical in the offseason, $37 million would be guaranteed to Mr. Danger Russ in 2024. However, they wanted to delay that money to 2025, and apparently they asked Russell Wilson at the bye week back in October to restructure this deal to make sure that that injury guarantee
And he
is
said
not.
no.
He's Russell obviously because that's $37 million. And if I get hurt tomorrow, I want to have money. This isn't like baseball where all the contracts and all the money inside of it is guaranteed. You can lose the money if you get hurt.
Yeah.
That's the way that this works. Or, if someone else, you want someone else to have to pay that money. If the Broncos cut him, that money's still, that guaranteed money still owed to him. So whatever team picks him up. So apparently a team can get Russell Wilson for, let's say they sign him to the veteran minimum. The Broncos would still have to pay him $37 million.
Yeah, they still have to pay. I saw something the other day that I thought it was a stupid tweet. I thought it was stupid. But like
Yeah.
the more and more I thought about it, I was like, holy crap, he could actually do this. It's why not just leave football entirely? Why not?
He could.
You're still gonna get paid
Yeah.
$30+ million. Stay home, or just retire early.
However, then you could say every baseball player in the world should sign contracts and then retire,
or
because
go
it's all guaranteed.
go pursue baseball. Do you still want to play baseball?
36.
Why not? Why not?
Baseball.
Like literally,
he gets paid to do it.
I'm not saying it's a smart idea or nothing,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like go
He
do
could.
whatever you go play golf. Go do
Yeah.
whatever. You're
Yeah.
still getting paid. Like it doesn't matter what you
absurd.
do. At this
That's-
point, like I feel like you're just gonna be playing, like you said. I mean, I don't know if a veteran minimum. Maybe I don't know. It could
I don't
happen.
think he would, but
But one of the things is like at this point, you're basically just playing for like your love of football. Do you still want to play? Is there a team out there that could have a quarterback opening job next year that you can see yourself actually being competitive in? I don't know. Like I don't see how
I don't
that's
really
gonna
see
happen.
one. That's what I wanted to talk about eventually. I do want to say though, Russell Wilson has been very interesting on Twitter, as of the past week. So he's been liking a bunch of tweets, basically that were defending Russ. There's one saying Russell Wilson might be getting cut this offseason, but this was still one of the best throws all year. Stuff from Speak on FS1 saying, well, if the Broncos won, would Russ still be getting benched? And they're debating about it. There's one post from Fantasy Fanatics. This is Russell Wilson, the NFL quarterback, liked these posts saying, the comparing Russell Wilson stats to Mahomes, saying that he's played just as good as him. There was one report, he liked reports saying that the Broncos approached him at the bye week after the Chiefs game, saying that they wanted to do this with the money. All these kind of tweets basically defending Russ and saying that the Broncos are kind of messing with his money. He was liking those tweets. So Russell Wilson, and there's always been these talks of Russell Wilson's personality not fitting in with teams. Former Seahawks come out and say that you can't get in contact with the guy and all of that. Russell Wilson, I mean, the thing is, understandably, I'd be very frustrated with this situation as well. I want to play football because Russell Wilson loves the game.
Not
But
to mention, I would
yeah,
not to mention like I would understand if they were just terrible this year. I would get it. It's like, okay,
they're good.
Yeah, they're good. They're a good team.
Now, they weren't for most of the year, but they're good right now.
They turned it
Except for the
around so
Patriots
quick.
game.
They
Yeah.
turned it around so quick that it was like, oh wow, like this Broncos team can make some noise.
Right.
And it's just
So
you're giving up on him.
So that's where I kind of, you mentioned people that blame Sean Payton for this. I'm one of them. Okay, because Sean Payton is, I think we'd agree he's a bit of a diva head coach at this point.
Yeah, he's a bit of a hard head coach.
In terms of, compared to most coaches, most coaches aren't really divas. But if there's one, it's Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Because of the way that he's gone about this. They ask him about this. He says, I just want to win football games. Yes, Jarrett Stidham gives you the best chance to win football games. Is that true?
Listen, like if it comes to a point where like you want to bench Jarrett Stidham over Russell Wilson, okay, fine. It's contract issue, whatever. Do not say is because we want a spark in the offense. That is such a lame excuse. So stupid. No one believes that excuse, for a second.
It's a lie.
It's a lie. It's a straight up lie. It's a straight up lie that everyone knew it was a lie the second it came out of your mouth. There's just you cannot be saying that that's a spark. Just say the truth. Russell Wilson did, and we did not come to an agreement on him taking a pay cut. So now we're taking it out on Russell Wilson and benching him for the rest of the year, and we're gonna cut him.
Right.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Because
don't hide it. It's gonna come out.
Just say we need to respect. We need to save our money. We need to try to protect our finances for the future. You're the Walmart owners. Who cares?
I'm about to say, like, I mean,
go to Walmart.
Even if who you gonna spend that money on anyway? Like any of your other past free agents have worked out. Jesus.
Right. That's my question about the Denver Broncos is what is your plan after this, right? So you're going to cut Russell Wilson. They're going to cut Russ. Is there a quarterback you love in the middle of the first round?
There's got to be someone out because I will, and it's funny because I mentioned this like a few weeks ago where I feel, I mean, I don't know how we all feel about this, but I feel like this is a quarterback loaded draft class.
Yes.
I look at these quarterbacks.
Everybody agrees.
Like, I could name like 6 guys that I'm like, I would be comfortable taking him in the first or second round easily. Probably even 7. I would be comfortable doing that. And the Broncos, maybe they're looking at this and saying, you know what? If we were to cut him, I don't mind taking a rookie quarterback. Any of these 6 or 7, I don't mind it. Or do you want to use this money to go out and get a free agent? Now, I haven't been keeping up with the upcoming free agents or anything like that, but I'm willing to bet none of them are pretty, like, on standard of like a capable starting quarterback that you could name your franchise player. That's ridiculous. Joe Flacco, oh my God.
I mean, like the best quarterback free agent, I guess. Do they think they're getting Kirk Cousins off an Achilles tear?
Like,
is that what's happening? There has to be a reason. Either
there has to be,
and the one that I see, I honestly don't think they have a plan. I think Sean Payton, and from what it seems, is that Sean Payton knows that Russ is not his guy, doesn't like Russ. Whatever apparently he's kissing babies too much, even though Drew Brees was that kind of guy. It's so weird, right? Because it seems like they have a irreparable relationship, but Russell Wilson is so Drew Brees, it's not even funny.
I feel like you and I both agree that even though like. We feel like what we're trying to see as the reason to why this is all happening is because of financial issues.
Yes.
We're seeing that, but it's like we all know there has to be a lot more to this than what we're seeing like come out. There's no way that you're content with cutting a guy that you, like you said, you signed to one of the richest deals in NFL history, and you're just saying, yeah, we're willing to move on. Yeah, we're willing to spend the $30 million, $30+ million on a guy who's not even going to be on our team next year. There's no way you're content with that unless there's other reasons that you don't want to tell us about.
There has to be something. And I feel like once this all comes out, it's going to be very interesting, and we're going to have to talk about it a lot. But I put a lot of this on Sean Payton. Obviously, if Russell Wilson played better, then maybe this wouldn't be happening. Obviously, if the Broncos didn't start out the season 1-5, if whatever. But this is by far the single weirdest quarterback situation I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything stranger. I've never seen anything that doesn't make any sense than this one, because Russ is having a Pro Bowl caliber season, especially within the last few games. It's such a good stretch. If the Broncos were 2-10, I'm sitting here saying, do it. You got to figure something out.
Nobody would care. Nobody would care.
You got to figure something out. I still think you'd be doing the guy dirty because you committed to him, but it just there's something. It seems like it's Sean Payton not wanting Russell Wilson there. That's what I'm seeing out of this. And I guess Denver, new ownership, they value, because they didn't bring Russ in. Bro, Sean Payton in. Sean Payton came after Russ.
Yeah, he was traded there. He was traded.
They traded for a coach, which you don't see.
A first round pick, right?
Yeah, they gave him pretty big assets for a coach. And he's turned it around. Got to give him credit. But again, Sean Payton has to have somebody in mind. I think they have to trade up for a quarterback at this point. You mentioned the class. A lot of those guys are going in the top 15.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure where Denver would pick. They'd probably pick in the top 15-ish, depending on how these next two games go. But do they love Jaden Daniels that much? I like him. Do they like Bo Nix that much? I don't. Maybe they do. But
do you like him? Do you like any of those guys so much for the fact that you're paying $30+ million for a guy who's not even on your team? You're willing to do that?
And if anything, if you like these guys so much, let them sit under a future Hall of Famer.
Why not? Why not?
Why would you not do that? They have to be getting Kirk Cousins. They have to be. I mean, that was rumored his original contract, when he was originally a free agent from Washington. Denver was option number 2.
Why don't you ask Bryce Young how that's going for him?
It's going great, right? It's going phenomenal. Right? Just starting immediately is going phenomenal. Are you going to go get Baker? Love Baker. But how much of an upgrade is that? How much of a downgrade is that? I don't even know. It's about the same. Who is Sean Payton's guy? That's what we're going to find out. But Joel, you got anything else left to add on to this Russell Wilson saga?
Russell Wilson is going to be golfing next year, and he shouldn't be doing anything else.
So you're saying no football? You don't think he should be playing football?
I don't think he should be playing. I mean, Why at this point? Why?
Even if Pittsburgh comes calling?
If Pittsburgh comes calling, I'm telling them I'm over at the course.
Go play golf. I think Russ.
Getting $30 million.
I do think Russ is going to play. I think he's going to find somewhere to go. He committed to playing football, right? Yes, he committed with Denver Broncos, but he signed that contract planning to play. So I think he's going to go play. Maybe back to Seattle. Maybe Seattle will take him back. I don't know, but who knows? And would you ever imagine that the Cleveland Browns would have a more stable quarterback situation after Deshaun Watson is hurt? Would you believe that? You would believe that.
Elite Joe Flacco. Never doubted him for a minute. That's elite Joe Flacco right there. That's the original. That's the best Joe Cool out there.
I think Joe Flacco is a very elite quarterback.
That's my guy.
That's your guy. So Joe Flacco, the Cleveland Browns have been on fire. They just clinched a playoff spot against the New York Jets on Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime for us on local television. Shout out to No Subscription Services. 3 touchdown passes, and they did it. The Browns have found a way to go 11-5 and secure a playoff spot, and they are in contention for number 1 seed in the AFC. In all technicality, they probably won't get it, but you never know. Browns fans chanting Flacco, Flacco, Flacco. Joel, what alternate universe have I entered?
This is amazing.
This is phenomenal.
And honestly, like it's not even like about the Joe Flacco. The storyline is just amazing. You look at what's going on in this conference, and then I'll talk about the next conference as well, because I don't think a lot of people thought about this as well.
Yeah,
Looking at Joe Flacco, there is a chance that they play the Ravens in the playoffs.
there is.
There's absolutely a chance that this could happen. And on the opposite side, I know it's kind of off topic, but there's a chance that Matthew Stafford could be playing against the Detroit Lions in the
Oh,
playoffs.
it's
Like,
oh my
what's going on?
gosh.
Like, what's
Yeah,
going on with these storylines? The script is going crazy this year. I mean,
it's
the script's
nuts.
going insane. You look at Joe Flacco. I mean, this was a guy we talk about, the whole straight off the couch. He was literally
Yes,
straight. He was picking up his kids from school. The man wasn't playing. He wasn't doing anything. He was just
be a good
chilling.
father.
And he was being a good dad, and he was like trolling, like, his kids were like trolling him, saying like how much he stinks or whatever, because like he was on the Jets and he's not good anymore or whatever. All of a sudden he goes to Cleveland. The dude has become like one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in the past 4 weeks. That's not an exaggeration.
No,
That's crazy.
he is throwing the ball
Like,
so
that's
well right now.
insane.
But Joe Flacco, yeah,
I
it's
mean,
great.
we even saw it like last night. Like last night was Thursday Night Football as we're filming this, but
Yep.
he made first of all, you lost your number one wide receiver, Amari Cooper, who he got him to be one of the best wide receiver, games that we have seen for a Cleveland Brown. Probably the best game we've ever seen for a wide receiver of the Cleveland Browns. He had like what 256 receiving yards. He
I
broke a franchise record.
I got to
And
double
then
check the numbers, but he played very well.
yeah, he broke a franchise record for most receiving yards and he was catching balls from Joe Flacco.
Hey, hey, respect Josh Gordon.
Oh, Josh Gordon.
Back to back 200-yard games.
Back
Couldn't
to
stay
back
off
to
the weed, but man, could he ball.
Yeah, he could ball. He
Josh
was looking
Gordon.
like Amari Cooper. He had that man looking like prime
Yeah,
Josh Gordon right there.
yeah, it was
And
nuts.
then, but you lose him, and then you got a guy, David Njoku, who we kind of all figured he was a good tight end. He's been playing like the best tight end in football these past like 5 weeks.
Yeah,
Again, not an exaggeration.
no,
Like every single guy that we have seen playing around Joe Flacco and this Cleveland Browns offense has looked better. They look good. Some of these guys he's throwing to are backups, and they look awesome. One of the best offenses that we have seen of the past 5 weeks, and it's like, is it crazy that could we be seeing a Nick Foles situation here?
it's
I
possible.
don't think that's crazy to say.
It's
Or
not.
like they could potentially go to the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco at quarterback.
Here's the thing, right? It's a very similar situation. Not in terms of
Very
how many
similar.
quarterbacks, but it's a backup quarterback, journeyman guy who,
Yeah.
and you look at the Browns, right? They have probably the best defense in the NFL, debatably so, but I don't think there's much of one. And this guy steps in, he just gets hot at the right time, and they go out, they win a Super Bowl. Philadelphia Eagles back then against the Patriots. And it's possible. 4 games in a row of over 300 yards for Mr. Pretty Boy Joe Flacco. 3 touchdowns, 309 yards against the Jets. Had a great game against the Texans. Threw 2 picks in that game, but 3 touchdowns and 368 yards. I think he'll be absolved of that. And then they ended up beating the Bears in a tight one, and the Jaguars as well. They have just been on fire. Absolutely. It's been just great to watch. Also, did have a bad game against the Rams. Two touchdowns and a pick, 254 yards. He's had a pick in every game. He's had 8 interceptions on the year, which is interesting. But they've been winning. They've got the
They're winning
best
games.
defense in football. They're the most injured team in football as well. They've lost like everybody.
Yeah,
And
really.
this it's just next man up, next man up, next man up, and they've been figuring it out. Joe Flacco, I think I saw a couple interesting things. I was just watching First Take this morning, or I think it was whatever it was. The Get Up and First Take. The ESPN shows have been just so
They're
merged
essentially
together
the
in my
same
head.
thing.
Well, they're also the same people.
Yeah.
It's just Dan Orlovsky, Ryan Clark, and then we're gonna do First Take with Dan Orlovsky and Ryan Clark. What are we doing? Let's hire some people. Why not? Get Break Panel Sports to come on for a little bit. Why not?
Oh yeah.
That'd be funny. But I saw a couple interesting things. It said Joe Flacco and David Njoku are the best quarterback tight end duo in football right now. And I heard that at first, and I said, that's ridiculous. But you thought about it. Okay, Mahomes and Kelsey aren't playing that well. No other duos have really stood out this year. I guess, yeah. I guess Joe Flacco and David Njoku are the best quarterback tight end duo in football, funny enough. And
Yeah,
then
probably.
and then would you rather play the Chiefs or would you rather play Browns right now?
Right now, I would rather play the Chiefs. Like,
You'd
I
rather
don't.
play the Chiefs? Would you even rather is there anybody that you would not take than playing the Browns right now?
Right
They are the
now,
team that I do not want to see
I don't want to
at
face
all.
the Browns.
I don't want to
They're
face the
in.
Browns.
They. This is a team that's getting so hot at the perfect time of the year.
Yeah,
The playoffs are just a few weeks away, and now it's like you're getting this hot and you're playing this good. You've already clinched you've already clinched the playoffs. This team's
they're in.
hiding rye, and this is like what? Their quarterback four? I mean, come on.
Fourth
This is
quarterback, yeah.
insane.
Fourth quarterback on the year. David Njoku taking shots in the parking lot. He chugged a beer. He grabbed a fan. Said, "We're going to the playoffs." The energy is just so there in Cleveland.
They're awesome.
And I have a just side question about this team. Are you going to have the same juice when Deshaun Watson comes back next year?
No, I think Deshaun Watson should have himself the Russell Wilson treatment and get
I
cut.
was thinking that,
I think it should happen.
but
What have
also
we?
you're not sticking with Joe Flacco.
Well,
He's going to be 39.
yeah, you. I mean, I think he can get like a backup deal with the Browns, like to be
Yeah,
the
he'll be.
quarterback
You
too.
keep him on the roster.
I think that could happen, but like you're
Nick
looking at
Foles
Deshaun.
got a job later, but he was much younger, and it was with Jacksonville, and he stunk.
Of course, we look at Joe Flacco and say like, "Oh my God, this is a great story. He looks great. He looks whatever." This is more so the same team, and you put Deshaun Watson, who should be arguably a better quarterback than Joe Flacco is right now at this time. What's going on? What's
Yeah,
going on with it? I watch Cleveland Browns games and I struggle to see where it's like they win games and it's like Deshaun Watson is the reason why they won that game. I think they win games despite of him sometimes.
yeah. They had a couple. There were a couple games where Deshaun, where you looked at, it, he said Deshaun won that game. He's also
Well,
been
yeah,
riddled with injuries throughout the season, and I don't put a lot of that on him. But it is interesting, right? Is Deshaun Watson the guy? That's the question heading into the offseason. And maybe they will give him the Russell Wilson treatment, even though
could be.
how much of that money is guaranteed, Joel?
How much do they care?
No. How do you want to know how much of that money is? You remember exactly?
I know,
know
I
how much
know.
they get. Every single dollar of that deal is guaranteed. Not a
100%.
penny. Not a penny spared. So I guess you got to rock with him. I don't know.
Yeah.
You committed to it. Imagine this team with Baker and 3 first-round picks.
You're you're a big Baker Mayfield guy. I know you.
No, I'm just saying. This team is
I
doing
mean, you
a
keep
show.
that man gotta stay in Tampa, bro. I know he's a free
I
agent,
like it
I'm
in
pretty
Tampa.
sure, but like he gotta stay in
They're
Tampa.
gonna keep. I think they said they're interested in talks, especially if they win that division, he's staying in Tampa.
Yeah.
They're gonna keep him around for a little bit longer. And I saw people saying, oh, maybe the Bucks should go get Russ, and I'm thinking, how much of an upgrade is that at this point over Baker? This Bucks team needs to just continue to build the roster. If Baker's a bridge quarterback, he's a bridge quarterback. That's just his career. He's a good journeyman guy at this point. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a franchise quarterback in Tampa, even though how much I love Baker. But it's interesting. It's a good
I
situation to
will
be in.
say though, like at least like sticking with the topic of Joe Flacco, if Joe Flacco gets the Cleveland Browns a Super Bowl, I think this will go down as like one of the greatest like quarterback stories like we've ever seen.
Right, and we saw Nick Foles not even a decade ago.
I'm not even saying like oh make it to the Super Bowl. I'm saying they go and they win
They
the
go win the whole thing.
Super Bowl. That would be crazy.
Yeah. And Joe Flacco, I saw one cool scenario was that he would just play the Niners again in the Super Bowl and go beat the
Oh
Niners again.
wow.
This is what he did with the Ravens back in the day. Um, that would be interesting to see Joe Flacco go out and win a Super Bowl. One thing I found an interesting idea. So the main reason that you would say Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer is because he has 2 Super Bowl MVPs.
Over the
Joe,
go.
that's the main reason Giant fans tell
Yeah.
me, and I agree with them, is that Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowl MVPs. He won 2 Super Bowls. He played great times with the Giants. He's a Hall of Famer. right? And you would agree Eli Manning's a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I would agree.
The only difference in the resumes of Joe Flacco and Eli Manning are a few Pro Bowls. If he
I'm
goes
gonna
out,
be honest with you.
if he goes out, and wins the Super Bowl. That's a
I
big if. Hasn't happened yet.
I don't know necessarily if I would call him first ballot, but I would say Joe Flacco's a Hall of Famer.
If he, I think he has to win the second Super Bowl.
Yeah, you think we'd have to?
Joe's never made a Pro Bowl. He's never made an All Pro. He was invited to the Pro Bowl once, but he never got into the Pro Bowl, which he had a few seasons where he probably should have. And I don't think the Pro Bowl really matters that much. But he's not an All Pro. He's not any of that stuff. They usually look at the Hall of Fame and say, you know what, you need, you're in.
How about Ravens Hall of Fame?
Oh, he'll be in the Ring of Honor. Yeah,
Yeah, like
if he's not already
Ravens.
in there, he should be.
Yeah,
He'll be the Ravens Ring of Honor for sure.
like retire number 5 for him. Like, come on.
Yeah, they
Brought
won
to
the
a Super Bowl.
They won that was their second Super Bowl franchise history. Now it would be funny if they retire it and it's like, well, but you also brought one of your biggest rivals to Super Bowl in the Cleveland Browns. Now I know the thing is this is Cleveland. I don't want to rush Super Bowl talk to Cleveland. I think every Browns fan is just enjoying the ride. Every Browns fan knows that this can happen, that the bad things can happen, right? They'll have to play some good teams, Miami, and Baltimore is really good. And I think it's going to be Baltimore, San Francisco again at this point. Although I'm not as confident in San Francisco as I once was.
Yeah.
But I'm also not confident in anybody else from the NFC. So that's the problem.
It's wide open. It's wide open in that entire conference, the AFC itself.
That's why the Browns are so interesting this year, is because if there was a year for a team like Cleveland to get in, it's this year. This is the year that a quote unquote weird team goes out and wins the AFC. But I think out of all the, again, quote unquote weird teams, Cleveland is the only one with a realistic chance to beat San Francisco in a Super Bowl matchup. Especially with that defensive line, they would get to Brock Purdy very easily. Honestly, I mean, Cleveland's already done it this year. They already beat San Francisco. I don't know if the San Francisco 49ers are that much of a shot in that game, if that's a Super Bowl, because they're just such a matchup nightmare. The Browns are for San Francisco in particular. It's tough. Browns are also doing this without Nick Chubb, without all their stars. Yeah. It's interesting.
It's interesting, but like you said, I think it's one of those things where it's just like, listen, how long can we ride this momentum? Can we keep it up for like the next like month and a half?
Yeah.
If we can do that, we'll be calling ourselves champions. So I revoke my previous statement in the beginning of the show when I said that I'm doing better than a Broncos fan. We are doing extraordinarily better than Detroit Pistons fans right now. We're doing extraordinarily better than Pistons fans.
Yeah, this is a bad situation. Just want to end on, I guess,
it's
I
bad.
don't know if I'd call 28-game losing streak lighthearted, but I guess it is more of a lighthearted note. So this follows, and here's the thing. By the time you're listening to this episode, the Detroit Pistons may have won a game, or they may not have. I don't know.
No.
So there is a game. We're recording this on, what day is it, Joel? Friday? Yeah, Friday, December 29th. And tomorrow, in my time, as you time travel back to 7:06 on a Friday, the Pistons play the Raptors at 6 p.m. on Saturday. So it's possible. And anything is possible. And they got games against the Rockets. They got games against the Jazz. And if they don't win those games, it's kind of cooked. But they're on a 28-game losing streak. I mean, it's a record. They just lost to the Boston Celtics, 128-122. The Pistons were up almost 20 points at halftime. They squandered it. They lost the lead. They were fighting with the Brooklyn Nets. Couldn't figure it out. They played the Utah Jazz, missing about half their roster. They lost. This team stinks. There's no two wits of ways to put it, however you say it. This team is bad, Joel. This team is bad.
They're terrible. They're terrible. You know how bad it is? This team is so bad. Teams don't they're playing like it's game 7 of the NBA finals. They don't want to lose to this team. We've seen it. We've seen it we're seeing it happening like so many times now where it's just like players are they're admitting on Twitter at this point. It's just, don't be that team. Don't be that team that loses to a team that's almost losing 30 straight. Like, do not be that team, because if you that would be worse than being the Pistons. Being the team that lost to the Pistons. That's so bad. It's, I mean, one of the things that I looked at when we're talking about just like the history, right? About like this whole Piston situation, right?
Yep.
You look at the Cleveland Cavaliers after LeBron James left, right? They were terrible, right? They were absolutely terrible.
Bad.
They ended up getting Kyrie Irving because of it, right? You look at the 76ers, the trust the process 76ers. They were intentionally losing games, okay? Intentionally losing games. And I got them Ben Simmons, I got them, Joel Embiid, got them all this talent, right? This Pistons team was a team that they were trying to compete with. They saw this roster and said, "Yes, this is the team that's going to help us with this rebuild." And they've won 2 games and the year is almost over, John. It's almost over. The year is almost They've won 2 games.
I can't.
It's so bad. They're not trying to lose games. They're not
Well,
tanking.
yeah, that's
Who's
the
in the
point that I think
who's in the
people are
draft?
missing.
And here's the
Nobody.
here's
There's
the
no
best
big prospect.
because that's the thing. Because like in last year when you had teams that were just terrible, it's like okay, well they're tanking for Wembanyama, they're tanking for Scoot Henderson. Brandon Miller's pretty good. Like there's guys. There's guys. You got Wembanyama. Everyone's tanking for Wembanyama. This year, have you heard any talks of oh who are we tanking for? Like who? I don't keep up because who cares?
It's a
Because
weaker
who
class.
cares? Doesn't matter. It's a weak draft class this year. Like no one cares. The Detroit Pistons could get the #1 pick in the draft. I don't think anyone would care. I don't think anybody would. It doesn't matter. That's how bad this team is. It's insane.
Right. I mean, there have just been some bad trades by this team. And again, I think that's the point people. Shout out to Kofi, by the way. That the team. That's the point people are missing, is that this is not a tanking team. This is a team that, again, like you said, they put this roster together, and they said, "Let's go win some. We're not winning an NBA championship. I'm not going to sit here and say that, but maybe we can, compete. Maybe sit in make the play in." That was their intention. It's a young team; they're growing, right? You bring in Bogdanovich, who's a 6 man of the year candidate somehow. Who
Yeah.
can be if he wants to. I don't know. He weighs 44
20
minutes
points
a
a
night.
game.
So
You saw that? Yeah.
think of the other Bogdanovich. Yeah, he's been playing very well. Had 17 and 12 against and 6 against the Celtics. He's having a good year,
How does
but
that
that's because
happen?
he was hitting a step back three in a Celtics face. You bring in, Jalen Duren's supposed to be your next star. Cade Cunningham, I will say he's playing out of his mind. Jaden Ivey's looking to grow. You brought in Alec Burks. The James Wiseman trade was terrible, but you made it. You drafted Sar Thompson. Killian Hayes supposed to take the next step. They've won 2 games.
They've won 2 games.
They've won 2 games.
You know what I find funny though, because like, okay, I didn't think this team was gonna be that good this year. I really didn't. I didn't think they were gonna be
No.
horrific. Now, here's the thing that I want to point out. Okay, you look at this team, how it's been constructed over the years. You look at James Wiseman, the #2 overall pick in the draft. He looked like a bust. The
Yeah.
Warriors actually put this man in the G League for a little while. He wasn't doing that well. He ends up in Detroit. You look at Kevin Knox, former first-round pick for the Knicks. They were benching him. He was horrible. He wasn't playing all that good. And he eventually finds his way to Detroit. You look at Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley was the second overall pick in the draft by the Sacramento Kings and was looked at as a bust. The man was in the same draft class as like Trae Young, Jaren Jackson Jr., Luka Doncic, and they missed on it and eventually winds his way up in Detroit. They get Killian Hayes in the first round, who's argued to be one of the worst NBA players that we've seen in recent years. How did we expect this to be a good team? How did we expect this to be a good team? That's my question. Because a lot of people were saying, like the Pistons, like I was saying earlier, like, yes, this is a team that can compete this year. Really? Did you really think this? You put a bunch of busts on one team and thought they were going to be good,
You know.
and you added a #1 pick, Cade Cunningham, onto it, and you think, oh yeah, this is going to work. No, it's not. It's not going to work. It wasn't going to happen. It was never going to work.
It's very interesting. I think the mentality should have been tank and added other people, but they've been in tank mode for so long. But they're also not an attractive free agent destination because they play in Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan.
So they're not, but they're also a legendary NBA franchise at the same time in their own separate ways. This team, it's just bad. I don't know where else to put it. It's also, I will say, a 28 game losing streak is taking the heat off a lot of teams, and I want to just give you guys a shout out. I want to give these teams a shout out. The 5-25 Wizards, the 7-22 Charlotte Hornets, the 12-18 Toronto Raptors, who are going to play the Pistons pretty soon, the 5-25 Spurs, who have the best player the best prospect we've ever seen, but they have 5 wins, and the 8-22 Trailblazers, and also the Grizzlies are 10-20. And there's a lot of bad teams this year, Joel. A lot of them stink.
None of them are worse than the Pistons.
But because the Pistons are here, we're ignoring them. We're not talking about these teams at all. They're getting off scot-free. The Wizards are tanking and no one cares because the Pistons suck.
Because it's funny because
enough.
You look at those teams, right? You look at all those teams that you just listed. Every single one of those teams has someone on that roster that you're like, oh, we could look forward to like his development. He may be pretty good. Like maybe next year or whatever, this guy could really take off.
I like Cade.
Okay, listen, I like Cade Cunningham. I think he's a good player. He's dropped, a couple 40 games here and there. I think he's fine. My thing is, who else in that team is scoring? Of course he's going to be scoring 40 points. Who else can score?
Well, the Wizards is scoring. Dede Avdija?
I mean, well, they're not that great either.
But Henderson, I mean, we looked at the other teams.
Man, he looked bad.
The Wizards have nobody.
Oh my God.
What do you got in the Blazers? Scoot?
I think Scoot can be something, but he's looked bad.
Can be. He can be.
He's looked really bad.
You got Wemby.
I mean,
on the
Spurs got Wembanyama. I mean, the Wizards. I mean, I'm gonna use my words carefully here, but
yes,
Jordan Poole ain't no bum. All I'm saying.
He's not.
I don't think Jordan. I like Jordan Poole. I like him.
But he's not a number one option.
No, I don't think he's a number one option.
He's not a number one option. He's a number 4.
I'm just saying I don't think he's as bad as a player as Shaqtin' a Fool would put Jordan Poole as a bad of a player.
I agree.
I don't think he's that bad. But yeah, I look at this Pistons roster and even guys like, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren. Yeah, they're cool. They're okay. I think they're fine. But I look at them together and I look at this team and I'm like, everyone just looks lost.
Yeah,
they look lost. Even Cade Cunningham, he'll drop a 40-point game every once in a while, but no one knows what to say. No one knows what to do. This team, it's a leaderless team. There's no leadership on this team whatsoever. You look at Cade Cunningham, a lot of the times when I see this man looking frustrated or whatever, goes to the bench, sits down, and just listens to Monty Williams. I don't see any heart on this team. I see nothing. I see nothing on this team that there's nothing on this team that gets me excited for the potential future. There's nothing.
So they need a vet, is what you're trying to say.
Well, I think that's what
right. He's not that vet.
He's not that vet.
I think the Pistons kind of just said, okay, we need a vet. Let's just get a guy. Let's just look at the age next to the guy's name, and we're just going to assume that that's a veteran.
Because he's pretty good, and he could get 20 points.
Sure. Maybe if he feels like it. Cade is 22 years old. I'm 22 years old. You're probably 22 at this point.
I am 22 years old.
So I mean, do you think either of us have the mental capacity to lead an NBA team on the court in terms of our leadership skills and abilities? Well, one, I can't play basketball, so. But
if I committed my life to the NBA and I was 6'5", maybe.
Maybe just a maybe, but I'm not. I think it's also hard to look a 2-28 team in the face and say, "Let's go, guys, let's go." I think that's. I also love how Monty Williams gets a huge contract. Right, was considered one of the best coaches in the NBA, and this stint has absolutely ruined his coaching career.
Yeah, honestly, has.
It's not. It has not ruined his bank account. His bank account's just fine. He can sit on money till he wherever. But we are looking at Monty Williams in a very different light. It's exposing how the defensive incapabilities of this team, the heart of this team. I don't blame him as much because the roster construction was not good. But, it's just a mess. Is Alec Burks supposed to be that vet?
Hey, I will tell you right now, you put that man in a New York Knicks jersey, he's one of the best players on the court. He's
Put
hooping.
him in NBA 2K20.
Dude's awesome.
Give me Jazz Alec Burks on 2K.
Top of the
I
key
will
three.
cook you
Top of the key three. It's 100% going in every time.
every
I
time.
promise you right now. Every
Every
time it will
time.
go in. Man's awesome.
He is the reverse Alfred Payton. When you talk about the New York Knicks.
Oh yeah.
Maybe this team needs an Alfred Payton. How about that?
Oh my god.
Can we get Rondo off the couch? Is he retired? Where is Rajon Rondo and all this?
How old is Ben Wallace? I mean, maybe something.
Can he come out? Can he take a step by? Can he take a trip? Anybody?
Where's Rip Hamilton at? Is he
Where's
still
Rip?
Where's Rip? I need someone.
JJ Redick said he could give you 15 minutes. They might need it.
Yeah. Oh my god, I remember that.
It wasn't on the Pistons, but he could figure it out. What's Thabo Cephalosha up to?
Yeah, what's he doing?
Anybody.
You know what I saw? I saw on TikTok. I mean, listen, I don't know how true this is, but I saw a tweet that said something like that the Pistons were holding open tryouts, right?
And I wouldn't be surprised.
And then guys on TikTok actually were posting videos of them at the Detroit Pistons facility practicing with training staff or whatever. Like they're actually having tryouts. They're actually having tryouts. I'm like, there's no way.
Teams do that for their G League teams sometimes, so that wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe, but like I'm looking at this and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way they're actually being serious and they're having open tryouts. Like, who wants to play for the Pistons?
Who wants to come on? Hey, you can get 3 minutes for the Pistons. You got a jump shot? Can you run for 3 minutes?
You might be better than Alec Burks. Come on.
You may have to guard LeBron James a couple times, but hey, we'll bring you on. Maybe we'll try out for the Detroit Pistons. I'll send in my official NBA free agency bid. How about that? Let's get on there. Let's get there. Let's figure it out.
Do you think that this team, like all jokes aside, do you think that this team can like turn it around somehow, some way? Like, was it crazy to say that this team can win 10 games by the end of the year?
Wild. Like what? Also,
I don't think it's gonna happen
at this point. At 2-29, 31 games, you played them all. You've won 2. Joel, what does turning it around even mean?
I mean, it's better than winning 2 games.
What does that entail?
Can we just win a couple games where it doesn't look like we're the laughingstock of the NBA?
If you are saying turning it around means the Pistons win 15 games this year, I don't even know if I could give you that.
I don't know. I don't know if I can.
This team plays defense like a high school team.
It's so bad.
They run too much drop stuff. It doesn't work. They don't know how to switch. If you really analyze this team's tape, I mean, Monty Williams should be arrested.
I saw a video the other day where it showed. Wait, no. What am I saying? It was yesterday against the Celtics, where they had it. A lot of it involved Kristaps Porzingis, where they had. I kid you not. It was Bogdanovich. They had.
Yep.
They had Cade Cunningham. They had Alec Burks. They had basically everyone guarding Kristaps Porzingis except for the centers.
Yeah.
Except for the centers. The centers on him. The centers were one of the only ones that weren't really guarding Porzingis. It was all the little guys. I'm like, what are? And of course, Porzingis is hitting fadeaways. He's hitting jumpers.
Yeah,
it's free. It's free buckets. I'm like, what are we?
That is an open shot. That is an open shot to Kristaps. Also, well, Isaiah Stewart's hurt, so that's not going to help their case. Of course, they're going to get the injury bug now.
Wiseman's playing like 12 minutes a game.
Yeah, I mean, he never. Asar Thompson hasn't showed out. Killian Hayes is playing 10 minutes a game. That was supposed to be your big prospect. It is just Cade Cunningham has to will this team to at least one. Just get one. Just get one. You know what they need? I figured it out.
What do they need?
You remember when Tony Romo tried out for the Dallas Mavericks?
Oh my God.
Get him out the booth. Get him on the court. Tony.
Nah. They need All-Star Weekend Myles Garrett. Remember
Give
Myles
me that.
Garrett?
Man for basketball. You are no longer allowed.
He had like 20 points of like just all like 10 dunks. He had 10 dunks.
He was. I mean, it was a celebrity game. It's like you put Myles Garrett against Adam Sandler. What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, I think he could play. I mean, what worse can happen?
Someone's got to get out there. It's not gonna be me though.
I will ask you though, as a Celtics fan, how did you feel when that game went to OT?
Disgusted.
Yeah,
It was
I
terrible.
mean that must have not been a good feeling. Now I'm not
No,
gonna talk trash only because like I feel like the Knicks may end up losing to the
it's
Pistons,
coming.
but it almost happened to the Celtics last night.
It did. It almost happened to the Nets the night before. Now it's a weird dynamic, right? Because the Pistons are playing their heart out, like it's Game 7, trying to win one. Every other team's also playing like that. So watching the Pistons has actually been really good basketball, really
Yeah, because
fun
no one wants to lose
basketball.
to them.
And the Pistons don't want to lose another game. They're like, we have to break this streak. I'm not worried about the Celtics. It was just when I saw the halftime score, I'm like, okay, this is terrible. They came back. It happens. Um, they're 24-6. I'm not going to worry about a game against the Pistons in December.
They if let's say Pistons beat the Celtics last night. How we feeling today?
Awful, terrible, disgusted,
Season's over.
disenfranchised, season's
It's done.
done. You should have bet on it, all that stuff. It's cooked. It's cooked. But yeah, like I mentioned before, the Pistons. No, I'm getting this out before the Pistons game, Joel. This will be uploaded before then. You have my word. How
Okay.
about that? And then they play. So they play the Raptors.
Uh-huh.
I think they could beat the Rockets. Okay, go beat the Rockets.
They could probably beat the
They
Rockets.
beat the Jazz.
I mean, Jesus. I mean, the Jazz had like half their roster and they still beat them. I don't know.
This is a different team. And
I
then they have the
don't know.
Warriors. I think the Detroit Pistons go on a 4-game winning streak. How about that?
You're high. Nah. No, it's
How
not gonna
about
happen.
that? Yeah, I couldn't. It's not happening. But sometimes I do think though if they get
They
one,
might
if
they
they
might win
get
four
one,
games.
maybe if they get one or when they get one, they're not losing. They're not only winning 2 games the rest of the year. I hope when they get one, I think they're going to win like 3 out of 5. I think that they'll end up kind of stabilizing a little bit better because this team has talent. They just need to win a game. It's like when you airball 6 shots in a row, you just need to see one go through.
Just keep shooting
See
until one
one go
goes
through the
in.
net. Go beat the Nuggets on January 7th. Okay, go do it. Why not? It's not happening. The Pistons probably going to win 10 games this season. I don't know. Well, I guess we're done rambling about the Detroit Pistons. Detroit basketball. It stinks. Joel, anything else left to add on our funky episode we have here?
Uh, I think we're I think we have a better shot at hitting 1 million followers than the Pistons have at winning a game at this point because it's like
Yeah, it's pretty
insane.
bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, God, no matter how bad it might be, you are not the Detroit Pistons.
At least you're not the Pistons.
At least you're not the Pistons. Just whatever, anything. At least you're not the Pistons. But I do respect the Pistons. They haven't laid down. They've kept going. So we're gonna keep doing here on Break Panel Sports as we reach 1 million followers by the time the Pistons win a game within the next day.
All right.
All right. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Break Panel Sports. As far as you got along, as much as you listened to, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, night, evening, or morning to listen to us ramble about sports for however long this was. Always appreciate, always loved. I'm John, joined alongside Joelle, and we will see you another time.
Later.